The video you're watching is yet another example of me attempting to confirm whether or not a piece of software is safe to download for you and for me. In this case, it's yet again an example of Rust Legacy, the video game, that someone repacked and put up on the internet. Now, if you're not aware of it, this game came out in 2013. Facepunch, the company that wrote it, stopped really updating it in any serious way in about 2014 and switched to what we now call modern Rust or experimental Rust. And Valve, or Steam, the distributor for the game, stopped letting people be able to download it easily in Christmas 2016. This is considered abandonware, and the only way to make it work anymore is to add in file patches to make it to where it works essentially against its own programming. This isn't considered pirating because you can't buy it legitimately and run it. So here we are. And in all cases, this is actually kind of a good thing. All of the files can simply be copied from one computer to another, and then the patches or alterations done to make it to where the game works. And I am currently in possession of many of them. Now, one of the ways a person could distribute it is as an installer. Legitimate, properly written installers do their best to make sure the file isn't easily broken into by viruses, but make it to where you can run an extraction of it, because the installers just basically extract the files to some directory and then make very few, if any, changes to your computer other than telling your computer it's over here. Now, this installer does not make it easy to extract it. It makes it literally impossible to virus scan it, as far as I can tell. And that's what this video is about. Now, I want to bring up a couple of website names and company names and their history and such, but let's get to what is inside of it. This is the installer.exe. I renamed it to basically extract it. Now, we're going to look at what's in it. Now, this is 532 megabytes. Now, when we look here and look at this directory structure that I extracted it to in one way, we show that it's about 542 megabytes here. Now, the problem with that is this is a compressed file, meaning it should expand nearly 2 to 1, because Rust Legacy, the game, is nearly 1 gigabyte. Now, when we look at it extracted, because this is a installer that obfuscated all of this, most of the files just end up being in this 531 megabyte cab file. The rest of these files are actually placeholders for the real files, executables, or directory structures. And when we look at that, when I go properties for the folder set, we get 23 megabytes of directory structure placeholders that will be overwritten eventually with an executable. At least that's what you would think. I want to point out that even though it could have just easily extracted everything, instead, it made these into not readable files. There's a README here, for instance. This is where I got a lot of the information. And when we rip it open, we get Russian and English. And here's the game here being talked about. And it mentions web pages to get data from and that sort of thing. And, that's all nice. And over here, we can look at the top and look under 3D Analyze, not double-clicking that executable. And we end up with a bunch of files here that are legitimate, or at least look legitimate, as DLLs and executables. And that's my problem with this, because that 532 megabytes only just extracts one big cab file that's supposed to extract to fill in these folders. But when we open 531 megabytes of files and highlight what we're able to see, and yes, this is the same thing I see no matter what extractor I use, it shows 32 megabytes out of 500 we can see. In fact, if we do this with 7-zip and WinRAR and that sort of thing, when we look in WinRAR, it shows the 15th file having something odd going on with it. It has an arrow pointer on it, meaning it's supposed to have another file that's connected with it that I think is called file 01 or something. The point to this is this has been deliberately made to where someone like me tries to extract it, or a virus scanner tries to, it will fail. Now, I ran another routine called Smart Install Maker Extractor, because this program that was used to build this installer, the executable, is called Smart Installer Maker. So when I ran it, it extracted really 3 files. An installer config file, which is a set of instructions that tells the installer what to do, and it even says what its name is. It actually mentions all of the missing files we're looking for. and has all sorts of information that would be very useful during the install. But there's that 530 megabyte cab file, and again, when we open it, all we see are 15 files, and it's only 30 megs that we're able to see. Again, it's obfuscating or deliberately giving us a purposely broken cab file. Now we have runtime.cab. When we open it, it has 4 and 5 TMP. Now when we extract it, truthfully, we get inst, the install folder, and then it has these files. And I found out through trial and error it's a PNG and a bitmap. When we view them, we see that it's the universal default installer for a disk with a box, and over here we see CD-ROM images. It's the installer pop-up images you see for the icon for the installer and on the screen. So we haven't gotten any progress here, and even when we had progress where it actually gave us what looks like the right amount, it's still playing games. Okay? All right, now I'm going to go over to the text file over here. Now, inside of that README file, and also inside of the executables and some of the zip file contents or RAR file or whatever, we see references to many things. But let's talk about this first thing. drive.google.com file/d/15zq7, and then a bunch of characters, and then it ends in AKM. That is actually the link that keeps being linked on many, many websites for this file that I do not trust. Okay, that's the first thing I'm going to say. Second thing is, the ones that link to it don't seem to show that it's been altered at all. So it's the same file, and it has been this way for a while. First thing. Now, if you look that up, you can find other pages linking to it, and they all go on the same concept of dark Rust or Rust dark or legacy or whatever. And they point to the same 530 megabyte Setup.exe file that mentions HostFun.com and host_fun as a URL on vk.com. As well as it referencing, if you look it up, or you might want to look this up anyway, the Smart Install Maker or sminstall.com website and its version 5.04. Now, this is obfuscated, meaning it's made to where we can't look inside of it and really know what we're looking at. It makes it harder for virus scanners to look, and it's unnecessary because, again, the original file set was all just files you don't actually need an installer for. You just throw them in a directory. You could just have it as a zip file. So, we're going to talk about the company that made the installer. The last time it was a working website was 2004, November 17th, or later. It now has a self-signed certificate and maybe a dead page. In fact, as far as I can tell, it's fully dead. So that's a big red flag, number one. Number two, the Rust Legacy _setup.exe file that you download says its encoding date is 1992, June 19th at 2200 hours, 22 minutes, and 17 seconds, Universal Time, otherwise known as GMT. The file description says Rust Legacy AutoUpdate installation, but again, internally, it is literally just a copy of the game put into a file format that makes it hard to figure out how to open it up and is not necessary. The file and product version are set to the defaults, all zeros. Several things are like that. The company name is listed as HostFun. The legal copyright is HostFun. And it has references that go to hostfun.ru and vk.com/host_fun in the README. Now, vk.com HostFun, their page started in 2018. In 2023, they changed the name to HostFun, and now it's got some other reference to it with a different spelling. And 2024, May 3rd, was the last time anything is posted on it, and that link is dead. Hostfun.ru, which is supposed to be the main website for it, the last date it had anything about Rust Legacy on it was 2023, July 10th. It was suspended as a website and is now available for someone to buy as of 2024, May 9th. This has been dead for a long time. Next, I'm going to bring up the server. The IP address for the game server is at myarena.ru. It's alive and well. And it's 4617450.232. and it uses all 8s as the survival area, otherwise known as vanilla, and the deathmatch one is 27019. Now, none of those will work with a generic client. It requires this client, and again, as I've mentioned, this client is not something I would recommend installing because I can't confirm whether the thing is safe or not. And I want to point out, you might have noticed I mentioned that the obfuscated installer, Smart Install Maker, isn't available anymore. It is heavily used for installing malware, cryptocurrency things, and bank account stealers. So that's a big problem. So the company name, HostFun, and whether it's on VK or the .ru listing are all dead. So we have lost literally the installer. We have lost the websites it refers to. What's left? Well, here we go. Not much. There's also a pointing to the same file set, the same download, vk.com rustdark12, that's changed its name 6 times since it started in 2017. And the last name change was rustdark x1.5, and that was 2025, July 15th. Yes, that's literally when they changed their name recently. And the last wipe they announced as still active was January of this year, and it was a different IP address that went to a different server. So they keep changing servers. I guess they need better hosting or something? Okay, fine. So again, there's a lot of red flags here. Again, the last name change was just a very short time ago, and it's gone through 6 changes, and it'll change again, I can guarantee it. Because when it changes its name, it makes it harder to locate. Now, I have archives of some of the activities and its current status and that sort of thing, so I'll get to the point on this. This installer is unnecessarily hard to unzip or decompress. Number 1. Number 2, it contains an obvious attempt to obfuscate. Next, it's using an installer that is used very, very much for cracking computers and installing malware that screws with your computer. Next, every link, literally every link in the file that leads to somewhere where you can confirm anything about it, are all dead links that died May of 2024, except for very few. And then, of course, there's the mandatory Discord. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. I do not recommend installing it. I recommend avoiding this 530 megabyte file like the plague. Thank you. Good day. Good luck. You'll need it.